I've been wondering recently what Audax is. In the past I've compared it to the Tour de France. I've covered that aspect of it at Paris-Brest-Paris. But Audax isn't usually a spectacle. They are participant events and not spectator events. But it's different for me because I'm participating by spectating. Audax is above all else international.
So, how many nations this time?
There are now 66 nations coming from PBP.
I know you've done a lot of work to extend the PBP family. It must be very good to see so many nations.
Yes, it's a long walk to have so many countries there.
The very large Audax events like Paris-Brest-Paris and London-Edinburgh-London are of necessity very organised. Just looking at the checking in procedures for Paris-Brest-Paris, it all seems so incredibly bureaucratic. It's something that's very easy to focus on. It's one of the reasons why you might not consider Audax as a form of cycle touring. Cycle touring probably shouldn't look like this. But I'd see Audax as an evolved form of touring. We don't actually have to look very far to see the missing links in that evolution. In equipment and in attitudes.
So you're from a cycle touring background. I mean, what kind of cycle tours are those? I mean, big cycle tours, fast cycle tours?
Past really, in my sort of youth really, before family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, took a year off and went travelling around the world and lots of other sort of smaller summer holidays and the like.
So you've either been let off or this is the swan song?
Yes, I've got a pass out from the family.
And camped on the ice there as well.
So you've cycled across Lake Baikal in winter, in the snow, with a tent.
The ice deep is
you
1
have a
meter.
You have a big hammer then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and we spend around 2 hours to get water.
Really? What, to get through the ice? Did you have
1 meter.
1 meter deep? You didn't have a drill then?
No. It's very, very heavy.
And you've ridden in Paris and things like that? Or?
Not yet, but perhaps next time.
First long distance.
Yes. This is your first long distance ride? Oh.
Obviously cycle touring is about encountering the world. You might expect to come across the odd checkpoint. That's part of the reality of world travel. But in the land of Audax, all the authorities want to do is help you.
What do you want to do now then? Do you want something to eat?
I'm going to sleep first, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
Does a cycle tourist have to be an outsider? Do uniforms give the impression of an army of exercise? Is there more romance and an uncommon purpose? Is Audax too much about the detail of movement?
So how was the night then?
Asleep.
Asleep?
Yeah, I got to Market Raisin, 10ish.
Oh yeah.
And then decided to sleep the night through rather than ride the roads.
Oh yeah.
So try and treat it more as a tour rather than anything else.
Oh. No, yeah. So, are you from Bangkok or?
Yes.
Bangkok.
Bangkok.
Ah. How many?
74.
34.
74.
74 from Thailand?
Yes.
Good Lord. Everybody's doing the same thing, but in diverse ways. There's plenty of room for individuality and eccentricity. And to be part of an international nation on the move. We've all got the same essential needs, and catering for those needs requires a degree of control if things aren't to get out of hand. It's a largely male activity, and that's sometimes given very graphic expression. There are clearly some who weren't born to wait. Paris-Brest-Paris is a very old activity dating from 1891. The past is a different country. They do things differently there. For one thing, they keep very different hours. The hours of darkness.
But when I'm falling asleep on the road, it's too dangerous, so I have to stop. And then, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go. So yeah, so we'll see. You know, we'll try to do 90 hours. If not,
well, with HD, sleep deprivation brings a whole new state of consciousness.
Going well.
And it brings with it a whole new way of looking at the world.
There are so many places like this in France. You know, it's just like a web, you know, if you look at the map.
Right.
It's
and
amazing.
You get the sense that they're all very much alike. I'm sure it's like penguins. I mean, penguins can tell themselves apart. But after a while, all the little tiny villages really start looking the same. I'm sure they're all different in some way, but that's just interesting to see so many little tiny places like that.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So do you miss riding it, Lisa, Damon? If we can reverse the roles here.
Strangely, what I really missed, what I found most frustrating was that compared to riding it, packing and unpacking a motorbike full of God knows how many cameras and God knows how much gear, you know, I've decided that LEL and PBP are such a good holiday because there's not a lot to do. You cruise round on the bike, yeah, and everything's looked after for you, and the bike's your little boat, isn't it? Yeah, your luggage is always with you. You don't have to unpack and repack at each little hotel. You see, so bicycle cruising, I think, high-speed bicycle cruising is the new growth leisure market.
You're like a cyclo camper, you don't you? The people mistake you for an ordinary human being.
It's a cycling holiday.
A cycling holiday. Well, I haven't described.